Okay, the next section. Jesus is questioned about fasting. We have this in Luke chapter 5, 33 to 39, and you will also find it in Mark, but I'm going to read from Luke. Here we go. Then they said to him, "Why do the disciples of John fast often and make prayers, and likewise those of the Pharisees, but yours eat and drink?" And he said to them, "Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them. Then they will fast in those days." Then he spoke a parable to them. "No one puts a piece from a new garment on an old one. Otherwise the new makes a tear, and also the piece that was taken out of the new does not match the old. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst the wineskins and be spilled, and the wineskins will be broken. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. And no one, having drunk old wine, immediately desires new, for he says, 'The old is better.'" So, quite a few times, Jesus did not, obey the law. And he had his reasons. He had the good reasons for not doing so. I'm going to read the next one. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. That is another one. So basically he's saying things must match. They must go one with the other. Okay? So while the bridegroom himself, Jesus, is the bridegroom, and we, the church, are his bride, while he's with his bride, there is joy and gladness and rejoicing and cheering, okay? So it's a party. But when he will be taken away from them, when he will be crucified, then people will fast. And they were mournful. They've forgotten all about what he told them, that the third day he will rise again. So when he did appear to them, to certain disciples, and they told the others, they did not believe. So God works fast. He's very productive and doesn't waste time, that's for sure. So I love this proverb about the wineskins, and the garment. Next, we're moving on. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. Again, it is found in both Mark and Luke, but this time I will read from Mark. Chapter 2, verses 23 to 28. Here we go. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. Now it happened that he went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and as they went, his disciples began to pluck the heads of grain. And the Pharisees said to him, "Look, why do they do what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" But he said to them, "Have you never read what David did when he was in need and hungry, he and those with him, how he went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and ate the showbread, which is not lawful to eat except for the priests, and also gave some to those who were with him?" And he said to them, "The Sabbath was made for men, and not men for the Sabbath. Therefore the Son of Man is also Lord of the Sabbath." So he has a great point here. Basically he's saying, have common sense in life. If you're hungry, it's okay to pluck some heads of grain. It's not work. You can do that in order not to starve yourself. So he teaches a very important lesson. What do we do sometimes in life? Have some common sense. If you're hungry, eat, you know. And again, I want to mention the next part that we're going to go, also found in Mark and Luke. Again, I will read from Mark, just moving forward. Mark chapter 3, verses 1 to 6. Healing on the Sabbath. And he entered the synagogue again, and a man was there who had a withered hand. So they watched him closely, whether he would heal him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. They were impossible. And he said to the man who had the withered hand, "Step forward." Then he said to them, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do evil, to save life or to kill?" But they kept silent. And when he had looked around at them with anger, being grieved by the hardness of their hearts, he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out. And his hand was restored as whole as the other. Then the Pharisees went out and immediately plotted with the Herodians against him, how they might destroy him. So, again, common sense, if yes, the Sabbath is a day of rest to God, and it should be kept that way. This is amazing, so that we replenish after a hard week's work. For those of you that work very hard during the week, you need your rest, and you better take it. So this is health of mind and body. We all need it. Some people may need more than one day. I think God wants us to be healthy. So that's the reason that Sabbath should be kept, to be healthy, to rest, and also to to remember God, to have a chance. We should renew our mind in the Lord every day, but this is a day where we specifically focus on the Lord, read more of the Word. We attend church on that day, and we just seek Him and allow our mind to be more deeply renewed. That is the reason that we may not become proud in our hearts and forget Him, and at least one day, to have a day where we give truly glory to the Lord, and that sets the tone for the rest of the week. It does wonders. But when there's an unusual situation, here it is, a man being affected with leprosy for God knows how many years, maybe his whole life or from childhood, and Jesus encountered him. He didn't say, "Wait, today's the Sabbath, it's a day of rest, I'm going to heal you tomorrow." He said, "No, step forward, come on to me, I will heal you now." So that is speaking that what I'm learning is that if I have chance to do good, even if by law it's a day of rest, it's okay. I can do that good. God's not going to judge me because I take time to speak a kind word or do something kind for someone, although it is the Sabbath. So, once again, we learn about common sense in life. Continuing on, chapter 3 with verse 7, a great multitude follows Jesus. We're still at Mark. But Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the sea, and a great multitude from Galilee followed him, and from Judea, and Jerusalem, and Idumea, and beyond the Jordan, and those from Tyre and Sidon, a great multitude, when they heard how many things he was doing, came to him. So he told his disciples that a small boat should be kept ready for him because of the multitude, lest they should crush him. For he healed many, so that as many as had afflictions pressed about him to touch him. And the unclean spirits, whenever they saw him, fell down before him and cried out, saying, "You are the Son of God." But he sternly warned them that they should not make him known. Again, what I talked about earlier. And continuing on, we have presented to us the 12 apostles. Da, 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 da. So, Continuing on with Mark, chapter 3, verse 13. Here are their names, okay? So that finally, after, a while he was preaching and teaching and healing and, teaching about things like fasting and the Sabbath and when is it right to do good or evil. It's never right to do evil. Okay. Where am I? He gathered about himself, in this time, the 12 apostles. So now we're going to learn their names. Yay! And he went up on the mountain and called to him those he himself wanted. So, he had preferences, okay? And they came to him. Then he appointed 12 that they might be with him and that he might send them out to preach and to have power to heal sicknesses and to cast out demons. Woohoo! Simon, to whom he gave the name Peter, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of James, to whom he gave the name Boanerges, that is, sons of thunder. He clearly loved them. Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, the son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. And they went into a house. So those are the 12 disciples. I'll name them again. Simon Peter, James, and John, his brother, Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, the son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot. Those are the 12 disciples of Jesus.